Welcome, brave souls, to the chilling depths of horror in detail, the realm where the shadows whisper ancient secrets and nightmares come to life. I am your guide through the darkness, and on this channel, we delve into the spine-chilling world of Wendigo horror stories that will send shivers down your spine. First story. In the dense woodlands surrounding the Great Lakes of Canada, where the wind carries the haunting whispers of ancient spirits, lived a man named Samuel Flint. Samuel was a seasoned Wendigo hunter, a solitary figure who roamed the wilderness armed with knowledge passed down through generations and a determination forged by years of facing the supernatural. The tale begins one frigid winter evening when Samuel received a cryptic message from an old friend, a fellow hunter who had encountered a particularly malevolent Wendigo in the heart of the forest. The chilling words echoed in Samuel's mind, driving him to embark on a journey that would test not only his skills as a hunter but also the limits of his sanity. As he ventured into the shadowed woodlands, the air grew thick with tension. The snow-laden trees whispered ancient secrets, warning Samuel of the malevolent force that lurked within. Armed with a silver-bladed axe, a talisman blessed by a shaman, and a knowledge of Wendigo lore, Samuel moved through the trees like a ghost, his senses attuned to every creak of the branches and rustle of the leaves. The first encounter occurred on a moonlit night when the trees cast eerie shadows on the snow-covered ground. Samuel heard the distant cries of the Wendigo, a haunting blend of human and beast, echoing through the pines. His breath visible in the icy air, he followed the anguished wails until he stood face to face with the creature, a towering, emaciated figure with elongated limbs and hollow eyes that glowed with an otherworldly hunger. The battle that ensued was fierce, with Samuel wielding his silver axe skillfully, dancing between the trees in a deadly waltz. The Wendigo's unearthly strength and speed were matched only by Samuel's unwavering resolve. The clash of metal against bone echoed through the forest, a symphony of danger and desperation. In the end, the Wendigo lay defeated, its grotesque form dissolving into the snow, leaving only an unsettling silence in its wake. As Samuel continued his quest, he faced even more cunning and vengeful Wendigos. Each encounter pushed him to the brink of his abilities, challenging not only his physical prowess but also his mental fortitude. The whispers in the wind grew louder, mocking him with tales of forgotten sins and the insatiable hunger that birthed the Wendigos. In the heart of the woodlands, Samuel discovered an ancient burial ground, the source of the Wendigo curse. It was here that he faced the most formidable Wendigo of all, a manifestation of all the tortured souls consumed by the curse over the centuries. The creature, towering and grotesque, emerged from the shadows, its eyes filled with the collective anguish of those it had consumed. The battle that unfolded was a cataclysmic struggle between good and evil, the outcome uncertain as the Wendigo unleashed the full force of its supernatural powers. Samuel, fueled by the spirits of his ancestors, fought with a ferocity born from years of unwavering dedication to his calling. The silver axe gleamed in the moonlight as it struck true, severing the Wendigo's cursed essence from the mortal realm. As the creature's form dissipated into the cold night air, a sudden calm settled over the woodlands. The whispers in the pines subsided, and the spirits of the forest returned to their slumber. Samuel, weary but victorious, stood amidst the snow-covered trees, the weight of the Wendigo encounters lifting from his shoulders. With a final glance at the moonlit landscape, Samuel Flint, the Wendigo hunter, disappeared into the shadows of the Great Lakes woodlands, leaving behind only the echoes of his exploits, a legend etched into the very fabric of the haunted wilderness. Second story. Whispers of the Wendigo. Once upon a chilling autumn night, in the heart of the dense Algonquian woods, there lived a small town named Eldridge. Tucked away from the hustle of the modern world, the townsfolk whispered tales of ancient creatures that lurked in the shadows, waiting for a chance to satisfy their insatiable hunger. Among these whispered stories, one name echoed with terror: the Wendigo. 16-year-old Jake McCollins was a typical teenager in Eldridge. He loved exploring the wilderness that surrounded the town, seeking adventure beyond the mundane. Little did he know that his curiosity would lead him to a nightmarish encounter that would haunt him for the rest of his life. It all began on a misty evening when the moon cast an eerie glow through the gnarled branches of the ancient trees. Jake, along with his friends Mike and Sarah, decided to venture deep into the woods in search of a hidden waterfall rumored to possess mystical powers. Armed with flashlights and a sense of teenage invincibility, the trio ventured into the unknown. As they delved deeper into the wilderness, the air grew thick with a sense of foreboding. The wind whispered tales of the Wendigo, warning them to turn back, but curiosity fueled their determination. Ignoring the warnings, they pressed on until the forest became an impenetrable labyrinth of twisted trees and shadowy secrets. Suddenly, the forest fell silent. No birds chirped, and the rustling leaves ceased. Unnerved but undeterred, the trio continued until they stumbled upon an ancient, crumbling totem, a warning etched in the language of the woods. Ignorant of the omens, they pressed on, unaware that they had entered the hunting grounds of the Wendigo. The air turned frigid as the trio reached the hidden waterfall. The serene beauty of the cascading water belied the darkness that lurked beneath the surface. Without warning, a bone-chilling howl echoed through the woods, freezing their blood. Terrified, Jake, Mike, and Sarah turned to flee, but the monstrous Wendigo emerged from the shadows, a towering, skeletal figure with hollow eyes that seemed to devour their very souls. Its elongated limbs moved with unnatural speed as it closed in on them. Panicking, the friends scattered, hoping to outrun the ancient terror. Mike was the first to fall victim to the Wendigo's hunger, his screams echoing through the forest as the monster claimed its prey. Sarah, paralyzed with fear, was next, leaving Jake alone in the suffocating darkness. As Jake stumbled through the tangled underbrush, the Wendigo's otherworldly growls pursued him. Hours turned into an eternity as he desperately sought an escape. Miraculously, he stumbled upon a hidden cave and took refuge inside, praying the monster would pass him by. The cave offered a temporary sanctuary, but Jake soon realized he wasn't alone. The Wendigo, sensing its prey, circled the entrance, its monstrous silhouette casting a haunting shadow on the cave walls. In the suffocating darkness, Jake clung to life, whispering promises to himself that if he survived, he would never again stray into the realm of the Wendigo. As dawn approached, the Wendigo's hunger waned, and it retreated into the depths of the forest. Shattered and traumatized, Jake emerged from the cave, the first rays of sunlight revealing the horror etched across his face. The town of Eldridge, still unaware of the monstrous threat that lurked in the woods, greeted Jake as a survivor, oblivious to the darkness that had consumed his soul. Haunted by the memories of that fateful night, Jake McCollins became a mere shell of his former self. The once adventurous teenager now bore the weight of an unspeakable trauma, forever bound to the chilling whispers of the Wendigo that echoed in the recesses of his mind. The woods, once a source of wonder, became a forbidden realm, and Eldridge, oblivious to the ancient evil that lingered, continued its existence in blissful ignorance. And so, the tale of Jake McCollins, the survivor of the Wendigo's wrath, became a cautionary legend in the town of Eldridge, a story told in hushed tones, reminder that some secrets are better left undisturbed, and that encounters with ancient horrors leave scars that time cannot heal. Third story. In the early 19th century, nestled within the dense forests of the northeastern United States, a small and secretive community thrived on the fringes of society. This isolated hamlet, hidden from prying eyes, harbored a dark and ancient secret, witchcraft and cannibalism intertwined in a chilling dance of forbidden rituals. The village of Ravenswood, as it came to be known, was shrouded in an eerie mist that clung to the ancient trees like a spectral veil. The air crackled with an otherworldly energy, and the townsfolk moved about with hushed whispers and furtive glances. Superstition ruled their lives, and the boundaries between the natural and supernatural blurred as they adhered to a mysterious code passed down through generations. At the heart of Ravenswood lived Agatha Blackwood, a formidable woman with a reputation that inspired both fear and awe. Her piercing eyes bore the weight of centuries, and her gnarled hands were said to possess the power to shape destinies. Agatha was the village's undisputed witch, the keeper of arcane knowledge passed down from mother to daughter in a lineage that stretched back to the Salem witch trials. As the moon cast an eerie glow over Ravenswood, the villagers gathered in a hidden clearing deep in the woods. The ritual had begun. Agatha, adorned in a cloak woven from the shadows of the night, chanted incantations that echoed through the trees. The air thickened with an otherworldly energy as the coven danced around a bubbling cauldron, their movements synchronized with the rhythms of ancient spells. Unbeknownst to the unsuspecting world beyond the woods, the villagers of Ravenswood were bound by an unholy pact, one that required the consumption of human flesh to sustain their mystical powers. Each year, during the autumn equinox, a chosen outsider would fall prey to the insatiable hunger that lurked within the hearts of the villagers. This year, the unfortunate victim was a wandering traveler named Samuel Hawthorne, whose path had led him unwittingly into the clutches of Ravenswood. Samuel, a curious and adventurous soul, had heard rumors of the mysterious village and its arcane practices. Intrigued, he ventured into the heart of the forest, where the villagers, with their piercing eyes and ominous whispers, ensnared him in a web of ancient enchantments. Bound to a sacrificial altar, Samuel's terrified eyes locked with Agatha's as she raised a gleaming dagger, its blade catching the moonlight. The coven encircled him, their chants reaching a fevered pitch. The air pulsed with malevolent energy as Agatha's hand descended, severing the ties between life and death. As Samuel's lifeblood spilled onto the cold, hard ground, the villagers descended upon his still-warm corpse. In a grotesque communion, they partook in the forbidden feast, their faces contorted with a mixture of ecstasy and horror. The ritual reached its climax, and the dark forces that bound Ravenswood grew stronger, their insatiable appetite for forbidden power sated for another year. But the village's macabre secret could not remain hidden forever. As the 19th century unfolded, whispers of Ravenswood and its unholy practices spread like wildfire. Investigative journalists, drawn to the allure of the mysterious, ventured into the heart of the northeastern woods. Their inquiries unraveled the sinister tapestry that veiled Ravenswood, exposing the village's dark underbelly to the light of day. In the wake of the revelations, the once isolated hamlet faced the wrath of a society horrified by the depths of its depravity. The villagers, their identities no longer shrouded in secrecy, were cast out, their once untouched haven now tainted by the stain of their unspeakable acts. The ancient rituals were silenced, and Ravenswood faded into the annals of history, a cautionary tale of the dangers that lurk in the shadows, waiting to consume those who dare to dance with the forbidden. Fourth story. Once upon a time, in the tranquil woodlands of Pennsylvania, there lived a grandmother named Evelyn. Every summer, she would gather her grandchildren around the fireplace, their eager eyes fixed on her, waiting for the tale of her youth. On one particular evening, with the flickering flames casting dancing shadows on the walls, Evelyn decided to share the chilling story of how she survived a Wendigo attack during a camping trip with her best friends in the 1960s. The year was 1965, and the world was in the midst of change. But for Evelyn and her friends, their only concern was escaping the monotony of small-town life for a few adventurous days in the Pennsylvania woodlands. They called themselves the Whispering Pines Gang, a tight-knit group of late teens eager to embrace the freedom of their youth. The gang consisted of Evelyn, her best friend Alice, the charming James, and the ever-curious Samantha. Excitement filled the air as they embarked on their camping journey, armed with a few tents, provisions, and an insatiable desire for adventure. Little did they know that the Whispering Pines held a secret, a dark force that lurked beneath the surface of the ancient woods. The first day of their camping trip was filled with laughter and joy. They hiked along enchanting trails, swam in crystal-clear streams, and reveled in the freedom of the wilderness. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm orange glow across the sky, the gang set up camp in a clearing surrounded by towering pines. Night fell, and the forest came alive with mysterious sounds. The Whispering Pines seemed to murmur secrets to those who dared to listen. Around the campfire, the gang shared stories, roasted marshmallows, and reveled in the camaraderie of friendship. However, as the fire dwindled and darkness enveloped the campsite, a sense of unease settled over them. Evelyn, perceptive and attuned to the subtle energies of the woods, noticed a shift in the air. She dismissed it as mere nerves, attributing the eerie feeling to the unfamiliarity of the wilderness at night. Little did she know that something ancient and malevolent was watching them from the shadows. The night grew colder, and the gang retired to their tents. Evelyn, nestled in her sleeping bag, listened to the symphony of nocturnal sounds. But then, a bone-chilling howl echoed through the forest, freezing the blood in her veins. Panic set in as the gang emerged from their tents, their eyes wide with terror. In the pale moonlight, they glimpsed a grotesque figure lurking among the trees, a creature with hollow eyes, elongated limbs, and a hunger that seemed to transcend the physical realm. The Wendigo had found them. Evelyn's heart pounded as fear gripped her, but her survival instincts kicked in. Guided by a courage born of desperation, she rallied the gang to action. With trembling hands, they fashioned makeshift weapons from branches and flashlights, determined to stand against the Wendigo that loomed in the darkness. The creature, sensing their defiance, circled the campsite, its malevolent gaze fixed upon the unsuspecting campers. Whispers filled the air, chilling the gang to their very souls. But Evelyn, drawing strength from an ancient resilience within her, spoke words of courage and unity. As the gang confronted the Wendigo, Evelyn recalled tales from her grandmother, stories of resilience, ancestral strength, and the power of human will. The Wendigo, a creature born of insatiable greed and dark desires, recoiled in the face of this unexpected resistance. The Whispering Pines, witnessing the courage of these young souls, seemed to stir with an ancient energy. A sudden gust of wind extinguished the campfire, plunging the area into total darkness. In that moment, the gang felt an inexplicable surge of power, an ancestral force that stood beside them in their darkest hour. The battle between the gang and the Wendigo raged through the night. In the face of fear, they discovered an inner strength, a connection to something greater than themselves. With each defiant step, the creature weakened, its monstrous form dissipating like mist in the early morning light. As dawn broke over the Whispering Pines, the gang stood victorious but forever changed. They had faced a force older than time itself, and in doing so, they became guardians of the ancient woods. The whispering pines whispered their gratitude, and the gang emerged from the ordeal stronger, wiser, and bound by a shared secret that would echo through generations. Years later, as Evelyn recounted this tale to her wide-eyed grandchildren, the fire crackled, casting flickering shadows reminiscent of that fateful night. The ancient woods held their secrets, but so did the Whispering Pines gang, forever united by the courage that had seen them through the darkness. And so, the story of Evelyn and the Wendigo became a cherished family legend, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the enduring power of friendship. Fifth story. It was the autumn of 1975 when Jake Reynolds decided to take a cross-country road trip. The vast expanse of Canada called to him, promising adventure and untamed beauty. Armed with a beat-up Chevrolet Impala and a sense of wanderlust, he set off alone, leaving the city lights behind. As Jake ventured deeper into the heart of Canada's woodlands, the dense forest canopy swallowed the narrow road, casting a shadowy tapestry over his journey. The fading sunlight painted the sky in hues of orange and red, creating a surreal atmosphere. He couldn't help but marvel at the towering pine trees that seemed to whisper ancient secrets to each other. As night fell, Jake found himself navigating the winding roads with only the dim glow of his headlights to pierce the darkness. The air grew colder, and an eerie stillness settled over the woods. Unfazed, Jake turned up the radio, drowning the silence with classic tunes from the '70s. The road seemed to stretch endlessly, surrounded by a sea of trees that stood like silent sentinels. Suddenly, the radio crackled, distorting the music into a haunting melody. Jake furrowed his brow, adjusting the frequency, but the haunting tune persisted. Unease crept over him as he noticed the shadows dancing at the edge of the headlight's reach. Shapes moved between the trees, too fast to discern. Ignoring the chill running down his spine, Jake pressed on, telling himself it was just his imagination playing tricks. As he rounded a bend, the headlights caught a fleeting glimpse of a figure standing by the roadside. A chill ran down Jake's spine as he slammed on the brakes. The figure turned toward him, revealing hollow eyes and a skeletal face. It was a creature of nightmares, a Wendigo. Heart pounding, Jake fumbled for his camera, capturing the ghastly image before him. The creature emitted an otherworldly wail that echoed through the woods, sending a shiver down Jake's spine. Panic set in as he realized the car wouldn't start. In the moonlit silence, the whispers of the pines transformed into eerie chants. Jake felt a presence closing in, and he locked eyes with the Wendigo. Its emaciated form seemed to stretch toward the sky, antlers twisting like gnarled branches. The creature's hunger-filled eyes bore into Jake's soul, freezing him in terror. Desperation overcame Jake as he tried to restart the car, the engine protesting with every turn of the key. The Wendigo circled the immobile vehicle, its unearthly cries growing louder. Shadows danced on the periphery, and the pines seemed to join in the macabre dance. Just as the creature lunged toward the car, the engine roared to life. Jake slammed his foot on the gas pedal, leaving the Wendigo behind in the darkness. The radio crackled back to life, playing an upbeat tune as if mocking the encounter. As Jake sped away, the forest gradually released its grip. The pines whispered softer secrets, and the shadows retreated. He drove through the night, haunted by the wail of the Wendigo, a story to be etched into the tapestry of his cross-country adventure. The woods gradually gave way to open spaces, and as the first light of dawn painted the horizon, Jake breathed a sigh of relief. He glanced at the photograph he had taken, a chilling reminder of the night he crossed paths with a creature of Canadian folklore. From that day forward, whenever he heard the whispering pines, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that somewhere in the shadows, the Wendigo still lurked, hungry for the souls that dared to venture too close to the heart of the wilderness. Sixth story. Shadows in the Frozen Night. In the heart of the unforgiving wilderness, where icy winds whispered tales of ancient curses, a solitary figure trudged through the snow-covered landscape. His name was Elias Drake, a seasoned Wendigo hunter with haunted eyes that bore witness to the horrors of the frozen night. Elias had spent years tracking the elusive and malevolent Wendigos that plagued the northern woods. These cannibalistic creatures were once human but, consumed by an insatiable hunger, had transformed into monstrous beings. Legend spoke of a curse that befell those who resorted to cannibalism in the direst of circumstances, turning them into creatures of pure darkness. The winter moon hung high in the sky as Elias pressed forward, his senses heightened by years of survival in this desolate realm. His breath formed clouds in the frigid air, each step leaving a trail of footprints that would soon be swallowed by the relentless snowfall. A distant howl echoed through the trees, sending shivers down Elias's spine. The Wendigos were close. He tightened the grip on his worn rifle, the cold metal providing a familiar comfort. His journey had brought him to a desolate cabin, long abandoned by those who feared the encroaching darkness. As Elias entered the cabin, a flicker of firelight danced across the walls. The hunter lit a lantern, casting shadows that seemed to writhe with unseen malice. The air inside was heavy with the stench of decay, a haunting reminder of the cabin's gruesome past. Suddenly, the silence shattered. The unmistakable sound of footsteps echoed from outside, and Elias knew he was not alone. The Wendigos had found him. His weathered face contorted into a grim determination as he extinguished the lantern, plunging the cabin into darkness. The first Wendigo lunged at him with a feral growl, its skeletal frame barely visible in the dim moonlight filtering through the cracks in the cabin walls. Elias reacted with practiced precision, firing a shot that echoed through the night. The creature convulsed in pain, its haunting wail a symphony of agony. The battle raged on, the walls of the cabin bearing witness to Elias's struggle against the relentless onslaught. He moved with the grace of a predator, each shot a calculated dance between life and death. The cabin floor became a battlefield, stained with the ichor of the fallen. As the last Wendigo fell, Elias emerged from the cabin, his breath visible in the frosty air. The moon cast an eerie glow upon the carnage, a testament to the relentless pursuit of the hunter. Yet, victory was fleeting, for Elias knew that the Wendigos were a force of nature, a curse that lingered in the very fabric of the frozen wilderness. Survival demanded sacrifice, and Elias bore the weight of every life lost to the insatiable hunger that birthed the Wendigos. His journey continued, a lone figure against the backdrop of a world tainted by shadows and the haunting echoes of a curse that refused to be extinguished. Seventh story. The wind whispered through the barren branches of the ancient juniper trees, carrying with it an otherworldly chill that seemed to seep into the very bones of those who dared to venture into the desolate landscape of the Navajo reservation. It was a land steeped in mystery and tradition, where the spirits of the past danced on the edges of reality. Deep within the heart of this vast and rugged terrain lived the Navajo people, keepers of ancient wisdom and guardians of a delicate balance between the natural and supernatural realms. Among their many tales of spirits and monsters, one story stood out as a warning, a cautionary tale told in hushed tones around crackling fires, a story of the Wendigo. Long ago, in a time when the land was untouched by the hands of modernity, there lived a tribe of Navajo hunters. They were a proud people, skilled in the ways of tracking and survival. Yet, Even the most seasoned among them knew better than to venture into the forbidden territories, where the Wendigo, a creature of darkness and hunger, was said to roam. It began on a bitter winter's night, when the moon hung low in the sky, casting an eerie glow upon the snow-covered landscape. The hunters gathered in their warmest furs, their breath visible in the frigid air, as they prepared for the perilous journey ahead. A village elder, wise and weathered by the passage of time, warned them of the Wendigo's curse, a curse that turned even the noblest of hearts into insatiable beasts. The hunters, undeterred by the elder's words, set forth into the heart of the forbidden land. Their journey was treacherous, the biting wind cutting through their clothing like a knife. As they ventured deeper into the desolation, the air grew heavy with an ominous energy, and the once familiar landscape twisted into a haunting dreamscape. Days turned into nights, and the hunters pressed on, driven by an unseen force that whispered promises of untold riches hidden within the heart of the forbidden land. The hunger for more than just sustenance gnawed at their insides, clouding their judgment and drowning out the warnings that lingered in the air. One by one, the hunters succumbed to the lure of the Wendigo's curse. Their eyes, once filled with the warmth of camaraderie, now gleamed with a hunger that transcended the physical. Their bodies twisted and contorted, becoming grotesque parodies of their former selves. The once unbreakable bond that held the hunters together now shattered, replaced by a hunger that only the forbidden land could satisfy. The Wendigo, a spectral presence woven into the fabric of the night, watched as the hunters devolved into ravenous creatures driven by an insatiable desire for more. It reveled in the chaos it had unleashed, a silent spectator to the tragedy that unfolded. As the hunters turned on each other, their desperate cries echoed through the desolate landscape. The once proud tribe, now fractured and consumed by darkness, became a cautionary tale, a stark reminder of the consequences that befell those who dared to defy the balance of the natural order. The Wendigo, having fed on the souls of the fallen, retreated into the shadows, leaving behind a desolate land haunted by the ghosts of the past. The forbidden territories, now tainted by the curse of insatiable hunger, stood as a testament to the fragility of the human spirit and the consequences of tempting forces beyond mortal understanding. The winds continued to whisper through the ancient juniper trees, carrying with them the echoes of a tragic tale, a tale of the Wendigo and the hunters who dared to defy the balance of the supernatural realms. And so, the story of the Wendigo became etched into the collective memory of the Navajo people, a warning to future generations to respect the delicate harmony between the seen and unseen worlds that coexisted within the vast expanse of their ancestral land. Eighth story. In the quaint village of Chester, nestled within the dense forests of the northeastern state of the USA, the 19th century unfolded like a dark and mysterious tapestry. The air was thick with secrets, and the townsfolk spoke in hushed tones about the supernatural occurrences that plagued their community. Little did they know that their lives were about to be entwined with the ancient art of witchcraft and the macabre practice of cannibalism. At the heart of Chester stood an imposing mansion, veiled in ivy and surrounded by gnarled trees. It was the residence of Elspeth Blackwood, a woman shrouded in mystery and rumored to possess powers beyond the understanding of the simple folk. The townspeople spoke of her as a witch, claiming that she communed with otherworldly forces in the dead of night. The truth was more complex, for Elspeth was a practitioner of the old ways, a guardian of ancient knowledge passed down through generations. As the whispers grew louder, a sense of unease settled over Chester. Crops withered, and livestock fell ill, leading the villagers to believe that Elspeth's magic was responsible for their misfortunes. The townsfolk, fueled by fear and superstition, decided to take matters into their own hands. A mob gathered, torches ablaze, and descended upon Elspeth's mansion. Cornered and outnumbered, Elspeth had no choice but to reveal the depths of her powers. In a haunting display, she summoned the spirits of the forest, causing the very trees to come to life and protect her. The mob, paralyzed by fear, watched in awe as nature itself defended the accused witch. Elspeth, however, harbored no ill will. She spoke of a greater threat that loomed over Chester, a force that fed on the darkness within the hearts of men. As the days passed, the once terrified villagers began to see the truth in Elspeth's words. A cannibalistic cult had infiltrated Chester, drawn to the energies of the ancient rituals Elspeth practiced. This cult, led by a charismatic but malevolent figure known as Ezekiel Crow, sought to harness the power of forbidden magic to achieve immortality. The townspeople, now faced with a common enemy, joined forces with Elspeth to eradicate the malevolent cult. The battle that ensued was otherworldly, with dark magic clashing against the forces of nature. Ezekiel Crow, realizing the tide had turned against him, unleashed a forbidden spell that consumed him and his followers, leaving nothing but an eerie silence in the once troubled village. With the threat vanquished, Chester began to heal. The crops flourished, and the animals thrived once more. Elspeth, grateful for the newfound unity among the villagers, decided to share her knowledge openly, ensuring that the ancient traditions would be preserved and used for the betterment of the community. Chester, once divided by fear and superstition, emerged from the shadows of its haunted past. The tale of witchcraft and cannibalism became a cautionary legend, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, unity and understanding could triumph over malevolence. The village, forever changed, stood as a testament to the enduring power of both the natural world and the resilience of the human spirit. Ninth story. In the heart of England, nestled within the prestigious walls of St. Eldridge University, there existed a tale so sinister that it sent shivers through the spines of those who dared to whisper its name. The tale revolved around a girl named Seraphina Blackthorne, a name that echoed beauty but concealed a darkness so profound that it cast a perpetual shadow over the venerable institution. Seraphina, with raven-black hair that cascaded down her shoulders like an inky waterfall, and eyes as green as the most enchanted emeralds, was the epitome of beauty that haunted the dreams of the unsuspecting. Her presence was captivating, drawing admirers like moths to a flame. However, beneath the facade of charm and allure lurked a heart tainted by the malevolent whispers of ancient spells and forbidden incantations. Whispers of Seraphina's involvement in occult practices and unspeakable rituals had long circulated within the hallowed halls of St. Eldridge. Some dismissed them as mere gossip, the product of overactive imaginations fueled by the eerie ambience of the centuries-old university. But others, those with a keener intuition and a closer proximity to the mysterious events, felt a palpable unease whenever Seraphina's name was mentioned. Rumors of clandestine gatherings in the heart of the ancient woods surrounding the university spread like wildfire. Tales of flickering candles, incantations muttered under the cloak of darkness, and the unsettling scent of sacrificial offerings reached the ears of those brave enough to listen. Students spoke in hushed tones about the malevolent pact that Seraphina was rumored to have forged with entities from realms beyond human comprehension. Among the unsuspecting targets of Seraphina's dark designs was Edward Hawthorne, a brilliant and unsuspecting scholar who had captured her attention with his intellect and charm. Unbeknownst to Edward, his every move was observed by Seraphina, who, with each passing day, grew more entangled in a web of obsession and desire. As the whispers of ritualistic practices escalated, Edward found himself drawn into a world far removed from the scholarly pursuits of St. Eldridge. It was a world where shadows danced with malevolent glee, and the lines between reality and the occult became increasingly blurred. One fateful night, beneath the gnarled branches of an ancient oak, Seraphina enacted a ritual of unspeakable darkness. The air was thick with an otherworldly tension as she chanted incantations that resonated with the ancient language of forbidden magic. Edward, bound and helpless, became the unwitting participant in a ceremony that sought to unlock the very fabric of existence. As the ritual reached its climax, a surge of unearthly power enveloped the clearing. The moon itself seemed to wane in the face of the eldritch force that pulsed through the air. Seraphina, lost in the throes of her dark desires, failed to notice the subtle shift in the atmosphere. Unexpectedly, the shadows coalesced into a protective barrier, shielding Edward from the impending doom. A force, unseen and uninvoked, intervened to thwart the wicked designs of the enchantress. The ritual, disrupted and unhinged, left Seraphina bewildered as the tendrils of her dark magic recoiled into the abyss. In the aftermath, Seraphina found herself face to face with the very man whose life she had sought to extinguish. Edward, alive and imbued with a newfound strength, confronted the once beautiful enchantress who now stood exposed and vulnerable. A peculiar transformation occurred within Seraphina as she gazed into the eyes of her intended victim. The veil of darkness that had shrouded her heart began to unravel, revealing the flicker of humanity beneath. Love, a force more potent than any incantation, bloomed in the most unexpected of places. In the wake of her failed ritual, Seraphina and Edward navigated the treacherous path of redemption and forgiveness. As the shadows of St. Eldritch University whispered tales of a love forged in the crucible of darkness, the once beautiful but evil enchantress sought to atone for the sins of her past. And so, within the hallowed halls of the British University, a story unfolded, one of darkness and light, of forbidden magic and the redemptive power of love. Edward, the survivor of Seraphina's malevolent designs, became the unlikely harbinger of hope, bearing witness to a tale that transcended the boundaries of the mortal and the mystical. 10th story. The blistering sun dipped below the jagged horizon, casting long shadows across the vast Arizona desert. The air shimmered with heat, and the desolation seemed endless. In the heart of this arid expanse, where the land met the haunted echoes of ancient legends, a chilling tale unfolded, an encounter with a creature that stirred the darkest fears of those who dared to venture into the desolate wilderness. Among the red sands and rugged canyons, a group of friends embarked on a camping trip. They were drawn by the allure of the desert's mystique, unaware of the ancient evil that lurked beneath the surface. The night fell fast, and the desert landscape transformed into a canvas of shadows and eerie silhouettes. As the campfire crackled and the friends exchanged laughter, an ominous wind whispered through the cacti. Unbeknownst to them, the wind carried with it the malevolent presence of the Wendigo, a creature of Algonquian legend, said to be born from the insatiable hunger of those who resort to cannibalism in the direst of circumstances. Among the group was Sarah, an adventurous spirit with a penchant for exploring the unknown. As the night deepened, a strange unease settled upon her. The group dismissed it as typical jitters, blaming the vast emptiness of the desert for playing tricks on their minds. However, the desert was not the only thing playing tricks that night. As the fire dwindled to embers, a blood-curdling howl echoed through the canyons, freezing the blood in their veins. The friends exchanged terrified glances, realizing that something was terribly wrong. Shadows danced in the moonlight, and a low growl resonated from the darkness. Their once cozy campsite became a haunting tableau as a gaunt figure emerged from the shadows. The creature's limbs were elongated, its skin stretched thin over protruding bones. Its eyes glowed a malevolent shade of crimson, and a foul stench of decay hung in the air. The Wendigo had found them. Panic set in as the friends scrambled to their feet, the crackling fire their only defense against the encroaching darkness. The creature moved with unnatural speed, its elongated limbs covering ground in swift, predatory strides. As the group fled into the labyrinth of canyons, the Wendigo's haunting wail echoed through the night, sending shivers down their spines. The desert, once silent, now echoed with the nightmarish symphony of their pursuit. The friends stumbled upon an ancient cave, its entrance hidden among the rocks. Desperation urged them into the depths of the abyss, seeking refuge from the relentless pursuit of the Wendigo. The cave's cold, damp walls offered little comfort as fear gripped their hearts. The Wendigo, however, was not deterred. It prowled the entrance, its eyes glowing like malevolent beacons in the dark. The friends huddled in the suffocating darkness, their breaths shallow and labored. As the hours passed like eternities, the group questioned their sanity. Whispers of hunger crept into their minds, and the once tight-knit circle of friends began to unravel. Suspicion and paranoia festered as the Wendigo's influence wormed its way into their souls. The creature, patient and cunning, continued its vigil outside the cave. It whispered temptations of escape and survival, exploiting the fractures within the group. The friends, consumed by fear and mistrust, became pawns in the Wendigo's sinister game. Days turned into nights, and the friends, weakened and tormented, faced a choice that would seal their fate. The Wendigo's insidious influence compelled them to turn on each other, succumbing to the ancient curse that birthed the creature. The once vibrant desert landscape bore witness to a tragedy born of desperation and the darkest corners of the human soul. The wind carried away the echoes of the friends' agonized cries, leaving the cave to the cruel silence of the desert. The Wendigo, sated for the moment, retreated into the shadows, its hunger appeased. The ancient evil slumbered once again, waiting for the next unsuspecting souls to wander into the desolation of the Arizona desert, where the line between survival and unspeakable horror blurred into the shifting sands of time. 11th Story. Harvest of Shadows. Once, in the remote and forgotten corners of Eastern Europe, nestled between dense, ancient forests and mist-shrouded mountains, there existed a village with a dark secret. This secluded hamlet, named Eldritch Hollow, was cursed by a sinister force that lurked in the shadows, feeding on the terror of the unsuspecting villagers. Legend spoke of the Harvesters, a clan of cannibalistic entities that emerged from the depths of the supernatural realm to sate their insatiable hunger for human flesh. These malevolent beings could seamlessly blend into the fabric of reality, appearing as ordinary villagers during the day and revealing their ghastly true forms under the moonlit sky. The story begins on a cold autumn night when a mysterious fog enveloped Eldritch Hollow, bringing with it an eerie silence that suffocated the air. As the clock struck midnight, the village square echoed with the unsettling creaks of ancient trees and the distant howls of wolves. In the heart of Eldritch Hollow stood a dilapidated mansion, abandoned for centuries. The villagers believed it to be the epicenter of the curse, the dwelling place of the Harvesters. As the fog thickened, casting an otherworldly glow upon the village, a group of unsuspecting travelers sought refuge in the haunted mansion. The travelers, a diverse mix of wanderers drawn to the village by its mysterious reputation, were oblivious to the malevolent forces that awaited them. Among them was Emma, a courageous journalist in search of a sensational story that would make her career, and Gabriel, a seasoned paranormal investigator with a haunted past. As the group entered the mansion, the air grew colder, and strange whispers echoed through the desolate halls. Unbeknownst to the travelers, the Harvesters watched from the shadows, their hunger building with each passing moment. Night after night, the supernatural entities toyed with their prey, revealing glimpses of their true forms, twisted, elongated figures with hollow eyes and razor-sharp teeth. The mansion itself seemed alive, its walls pulsating with the malevolence that seeped through the very fabric of the cursed village. Emma, driven by her journalistic instincts, delved into the history of Eldritch Hollow, uncovering ancient rituals and forgotten pacts that bound the village to the harvesters. Gabriel, haunted by his own encounters with the paranormal, sensed the impending danger and rallied the group to break the curse that held Eldritch Hollow in its thrall. As the travelers navigated through the labyrinthine corridors of the mansion, they encountered apparitions from the village's dark past, ghostly figures condemned to relive their agonizing fate. Each revelation brought them closer to the heart of the curse, but also closer to the ravenous grasp of the harvesters. The climax unfolded in the mansion's hidden chamber, where a sacrificial altar stood surrounded by ancient symbols etched in blood. The travelers, armed with newfound knowledge and a sense of camaraderie, confronted the harvesters in a desperate attempt to break the curse. A harrowing battle ensued between the mortal and the supernatural, as the harvesters revealed their true forms, a grotesque amalgamation of nightmares. Emma, wielding the knowledge she had uncovered, chanted incantations to weaken the entities, while Gabriel fought with the strength of a man who had faced the terrors of the unknown before. In the end, as the first light of dawn broke through the stained glass windows, the curse was shattered. The harvesters, weakened by the travelers' resilience, faded into the shadows, their malevolent influence lifted from Eldritch Hollow. The village, once plagued by darkness, began to heal. The fog lifted, the ancient trees ceased their ominous creaks, and the howls of wolves in the distance turned into a distant melody of freedom. The travelers, scarred by their nightmarish ordeal, left Eldritch Hollow behind, carrying with them a story that would be whispered through generations. Eldritch Hollow, though forever marked by its haunting past, stood as a testament to the resilience of the human spirit against the malevolent forces that sought to consume it. And so, the cursed village faded from the maps, its secrets buried in the annals of time, waiting for the curious and the brave to rediscover the harvest of shadows. 12th Story. In the desolate heart of the Navajo Nation, nestled between the ancient red rocks and haunted by the whispers of the wind, there lies a forgotten village named Natohebe, which translates to the Forbidden Place in the sacred Navajo tongue. For centuries, the people of the Navajo had avoided this cursed land, believing it to be a breeding ground for malevolent spirits and vengeful entities. Legend spoke of a shaman named Kayani, who had succumbed to the dark allure of forbidden rituals to gain unimaginable power. The elders of Natohebe warned of the consequences of delving into the forbidden realms of the supernatural, but Kayani's thirst for power blinded him to the wisdom of his people. As the moon cast an eerie glow upon the desolate village, the air became thick with an otherworldly presence. Shadows danced upon the walls of the abandoned huts, whispering tales of ancient curses and restless spirits. Those brave enough to approach the village claimed to hear the ghostly echoes of Kayani's ritual chants, carried on the chilling night breeze. One fateful night, a curious anthropologist named Dr. Emily Harris arrived at the outskirts of Natohebe, driven by a desire to unravel the mysteries of the Navajo culture. Armed with a flashlight and a notebook, she ventured into the forbidden village, dismissing the warnings of the locals as mere superstitions. The moment Dr. Harris crossed the village's threshold, a bone-chilling silence enveloped her. The air became heavy, and the whispers of the wind transformed into anguished wails. Unseen eyes seemed to watch her every move as she delved deeper into the heart of the cursed land. As she explored the dilapidated huts, Dr. Harris discovered strange symbols etched onto the walls, symbols that seemed to writhe and twist in the dim light. Ignoring the ominous signs, she stumbled upon an ancient, tattered parchment hidden within the remnants of Kyani's dwelling. The parchment detailed the forbidden rituals performed by the fallen shaman, describing a pact he had made with a malevolent entity from the spirit world. Unbeknownst to Dr. Harris, the spirits of Natohebe awakened with her intrusion. Whispers turned into guttural growls, and the shadows coalesced into twisted, nightmarish figures. The ancient curse, fueled by the anthropologist's presence, sought to drag her into the same abyss that had claimed Kyani centuries ago. Each step she took echoed through the desolate village, awakening the vengeful spirits that hungered for retribution. As Dr. Harris reached the heart of Natohebe, the malevolent force manifested itself before her, a grotesque amalgamation of shadows and ethereal tendrils, the embodiment of Kyani's pact with the spirit world. The air became thick with an oppressive darkness, and the temperature plummeted as the entity spoke in a haunting voice, recounting the sins of the living and the damned. Dr. Harris, paralyzed by fear, witnessed the spirits of Kyani and his cursed kin rise from the shadows, their eyes vacant yet filled with a malevolent force. Desperation gripped her as she realized the true horror of Natohebe. The village was a prison for the tormented souls, forever bound by the consequences of forbidden rituals. The spirits, hungry for the warmth of the living, reached out to drag Dr. Harris into the abyss. In her final moments, as the spirits closed in, Dr. Harris uttered a desperate plea for forgiveness. The wind carried her words, and for an instant, the shadows retreated. The spirits hesitated, their spectral forms wavering in the face of genuine remorse. With an otherworldly roar, the entity that once struck a pact with Kyani recoiled, its grip weakened by the power of repentance. The village, once cloaked in darkness, shuddered as if awakening from a long slumber. The spirits, torn between vengeance and forgiveness, faded into the ethereal realm. Dr. Harris, shaken but alive, stumbled out of Natohebe, leaving behind the haunted village and its dark secrets. As she looked back, the red rocks seemed to sigh with relief, and the wind whispered a melancholic farewell. The forbidden place returned to its quiet slumber, awaiting the next foolhardy soul who dared to challenge the ancient curse that bound the spirits of Natohebe. Thanks a lot for watching the video till the end. Subscribe to our channel Horror in Detail. Drop your opinions/suggestions in the comments section, and like the video as it helps with the YouTube algorithm.